Welcome to the Top Business Leaders Show, powered by Rise 25 Media. We feature top founders, executives, and business leaders from all over the world.
Chad Franzen here, co-host for this show where we feature top restaurateurs, investors, and business leaders. This is part of our SpotOn Series. SpotOn has the best-in-class payment platform for retail, and they have a flagship solution called SpotOn Restaurant, where they combine marketing, software, and payments all in one. They've served everyone from larger chains like Dairy Queen and Subway to small mom-and-pop restaurants. To learn more, go to spoton.com. This episode is brought to you by Rise 25. We help B2B businesses to get ROI, clients, referrals, and strategic partnerships through done-for-you podcasts. If you have a B2B business and want to build great relationships with clients, referral partners, and thought leaders in your space, there's no better way to do it than through podcasts and content marketing. To learn more, go to rise25media.com or email us at support@rise25media.com. Alexander Green is the managing director for the Fireman Hospitality Group National Harbor location. He's been in the restaurant industry and hospitality industry for 25 years, started as a dishwasher, and worked his way from the bottom up. Alexander, thanks so much for joining me today. How are you?
Great. How are you?
Great. Thank you so much. Hey, so tell me a little bit about the Fireman Hospitality Group and how kind of where you work fits into it.
Fireman Hospitality Group started by Shelly Fireman, New York City. Started with a bagel shop. Now he owns 7 restaurants in Times Square, in that whole area, Manhattan. And we are 2 restaurants here in National Harbor, Maryland, Bomb 45 and Fiorella Pizzaria, that are his locations outside of New York City. I am in charge of running both of those restaurants here in National Harbor. We've been open about 11, 12 years now, both restaurants.
Can you tell me about those 2 locations, starting with maybe the pizzeria and kind of what a customer can expect when they go in there?
Yeah, Fiorella Pizzeria is a fast casual restaurant. We do pizzas in a brick oven. It's a 700-degree oven. A lot of Italian pasta, a bunch of flair appetizers. Big tourist destination here, so we accommodate families. If you come, we got mocktails, cocktails for everyone, beer, pizza. It's a good old American pizzeria with a lot of Italian twist to it. So if you're looking to have a good fun time, that's where you want to head to.
What about the other place, Bach 45?
On 45, we're seafood steakhouse. A little bit more upscale, not quite fine dining, but pretty close to it. White tablecloth. We do everything from lobster thermidoro, ribeye steaks, tomahawks, homemade pasta, just all the goodies. We do a raw bar in the summer with oysters and seafood towers. Just very high-end, nice place for anniversaries, date night, celebration, or you just want to have a really, really, beautiful dinner. That's where you want to go.
I'd love to talk about a little bit about your background in the restaurant industry. You started as a dishwasher and kind of worked your way up. What was your first job?
My first job was at Woody's Barbecue in Jacksonville, Florida. I was in high school and loved that job. I started there as a dishwasher. It was something I could do after school. It was great because it was right down the street from a remedial girls' home. So all the girls got dropped off and they had to work and then they got picked up. So I got to wash dishes and flirt with a lot of girls. So it was great being a teenager and having that job.
Sure, I would imagine. So then you kind of moved on from there to what?
Then my senior year of high school, I moved to, funny enough, I was working at Pizza Hut as a delivery guy. I delivered pizzas because I had a half day of school. I was in that weird program. So I got out of school early and delivered pizzas. And that was great my senior year because I delivered to this liquor store and they thought that I was 21. So I became the man on campus because I was able to get liquor and pizzas. So that was a lot of fun. And, 25 years later, here I am still in a pizza joint somewhat per se. So from there, I ended up leaving Florida and coming to DC, and DC's food scene was just kind of bubbling at that time. So I worked in a bunch of different bars, a bunch of different restaurants, and eventually found my way into management with this company. I've been with this company about 10 years now. So
what is it about the restaurant industry that you find particularly enjoyable?
It's for me, it's the people. The cool people outweigh the bad. I'm a people's person. I love hospitality. I love putting a smile on people's faces. It's just something about that that's rewarding in itself. Every day is different. I also like that. I like that there's always change. There's always ideas, menu development, cocktail development. Nothing stays the same. It's always changing. And I like to be a part of that change. And I like to be a sponge. I like to learn. And I also like to teach. So I think it's a great place where you can mentor and you can also be mentored. No one's above anyone in this business. Everyone counts in the restaurant business, everyone. So that's always my motto, from the dishwasher to the hostess, to the bar back, to the managers. Everyone has to play their role to make sure the team's successful. So, I like, being a part of that and being in control of it.
At the risk of putting you on the spot, you went from dishwasher to pizza delivery guy, and then you worked your way up, and now you're the managing director for 2 restaurant locations. Can you tell me about a learning experience or 2 that you had while working your way up that's helped you in your job today?
Um, yeah, I would say one of my best learning experiences was it was basically we had a couple that they adopted a baby. The baby ended up getting cancer and dying, and they waited about 2 years and decided that they wanted to adopt again. Um, the adoption company reached out to us that Monday and said, usually it takes 2 to 3 months to adopt a child, sometimes longer. Just so happened that they had a child that was being born, and they were going to give this child to this couple that Friday. So by delivering everything to a table, never would I thought I'd be delivering a newborn baby to a table. That was probably the most eye-opening experience for me because, we get caught up in the food and the drinks, but at the end of the day, I learned that it really is the guests that makes it a special time. And for me, it's, making sure that you never know who's walking through your door, and anyone could come in for anything. And our job is to make it special for them. So that day I learned, a very important lesson of this is why we do this, to put real genuine smiles on people's faces. So that was one of the most awesome things that I ever experienced. And, I'll always keep that in my back pocket when dealing with people and knowing that some people don't have a good day. Some people are having a great day. It's our job to make it better.
What are some challenges you face in your job now as managing director at 2 different locations?
Challenges that I face, I would say now is keeping everybody on the same page. That's always tough because you're managing guests as well as managing employees, and everyone has different personalities. Everyone has a different way that they tick. So for me, the challenging part is, knowing my audience, knowing how to communicate with them, knowing, who's accessible, who's not, knowing who's the go-to guy and who's not. And, having those tough conversations of, saying, hey, I picked this person to do this because, their drive is a little different. If your drive was focused this way, maybe I'd have you do this. And the exact opposite, maybe I'll take someone and say, hey, I'm taking them because I want to teach them, or I want them to learn. And, putting people in uncomfortable situations helps them to mature and helps them to learn. And, for me, it's challenging saying, hey, you're going to have to make that call of, this guy's good, this guy's not. And, cutting the axe, if that's a way of saying it, is just making sure that, you're making the right decisions for the business and not for yourself.
Do you take a different approach for each place in terms of kind of like setting the culture? I would imagine like a nearly fine dining establishment is different than a pizzeria. Do you take a different approach, and how does that look?
Yeah, for sure. So at the pizzeria, we get a lot of kids come home from college, want to come work. So, my average age of employees is about 23, 24 versus the steakhouse. These guys, they have homes, they have families, they have bills. They're a little older. Some of them, much older than me. So it's a level of respect that comes, with those guys because they're there for different reasons. They're there to feed their family versus, my college guys who are there to, get some drinking money and go hang out. So it's knowing, hey, I have to be a little bit more fun and hip with them, and with my older crowd, it's a lot more respectable, and letting them know I understand what you're doing, I understand why you're here, and I'm here to help you. So,
How has COVID impacted or changed the way you guys do business at each location?
um, I'll tell you honestly, once we were shut down and we came out of it, we came out on top, which is great. A lot of restaurants didn't. Um, I learned that the most important thing was, in restaurants, we don't seem to have a lot of, how do I say, family time. We spend most of our time here in the restaurant, and I I wanted to focus with a quality of life. So we added a manager at both locations to kind of take the load off of everything that was happening via COVID, because it was manager and myself, and here we are, we're on the floor, we're washing dishes, we're mopping, we're in a bunch of different places due to staffing and a bunch of different other things. So when people were walking in the door to try to get jobs, we didn't even have the time to sit down and interview them, and then process their paperwork and all these things. So adding managers added some quality to our life, even though it's going to chop down the bottom line a little bit. I think, COVID taught, a lot of us that life is important and families are important, and having your time to, focus is great. And I've noticed since we've done that, we've performed even better than we were in 2019 for 2021. And I also saw that, I was having guys that were coming in fresh. They were coming in rested versus, working 5-12 hour shifts. We cut that back, a little bit to where, if it was slow and there was nothing going on, I was sending my guys home versus just keeping them for the sake of payroll. When it gets going, everybody knows, hey, all hands in. But when it's not, let's go home and enjoy the reason that we're really here. So I say COVID impacted us that way. From a business standpoint, we were creative. We jarred up our sauces. We made pizza kits to take home. We did virtual classes to teach people how to make cocktails. We were just super engaging in a lot of different things, because I think just one thing wasn't going to break the bank. A pizza kit's, not everyone's going to get it, but if I laid out 5 or 6 different things and was able to get 10 things from everywhere, that helped generate some sales. So we just learned to be different and to, try to adapt to the times and adapt to what was going on. And when it was time to open up, like I said, we all put aprons on. We were able to retrain. We were able to get new staff. We were able to find new people. So we were able to change the culture a little bit, because restaurants aren't built to stop and start, as we know, so we had to stop and start twice. So the last time we started, we knew, hey, this will probably be us going and not having to shut down again. So we were diligent in our staffing and our menu development. And when it was slow, instead of just hanging around, we were working on new menu ideas. What's going to happen when it opens back up? What's the world going to look like? So COVID impacted us in a positive way. Unfortunately, not through sales, but through a core and a family. We learned a lot and we studied a lot, and we're able to see that success now that we are open back up. I'll take yesterday being Valentine's Day at Fiorella. We never did a prefix menu before. And we decided, hey, we're going to do this $55 prefix menu for Valentine's Day. And on a cold 20-degree Monday night in the harbor, when you're right on the water, no one really comes down here on a Monday, but we were able to get 150 covers last night. And, that's just us being different and learning, hey, instead of just being the pizza place for the night, let's be this really nice place for the night. So I was able to bring some elements from my other restaurant down here, and our younger kids, it was funny to see them kind of bowing to the customers and carrying plates, because the culture was different and they recognized it. So yeah, I think it was, it's pretty cool watching the culture shift and watching us, continue to learn and be sponges.
In your 25 years in the restaurant industry, did you have jobs that were specifically geared toward food preparation?
Yes. I worked with, was at Woody's. I ended up being a dishwasher. I ended up going to be a grill cook. It was a big open pit barbecue. So barbecue grill. So I learned that. I learned food prep back of the house I worked for Chili's for 4 or 5 years. That was fun in the height of that in the 90s when it was just 90s, 2000s. Everyone loved those little Chili's, Applebee's kind of places. So in training for that, I worked in a store where we were MOD trainers, and we trained all the managers coming through that company. So, and at that time, you had to learn front and back of the house. So I had to learn front and back of the house. I ended up being behind the bar for a long, long time there, and then going to DC and working in some bars before eventually leaving food and getting more into the beverage side of things. From that, when I started with this company, I had both. I had food and I had beverage knowledge, and I knew numbers from a management standpoint. So all the stars kind of connected, so.
Has two questions regarding that. Has that experience, both being kind of behind the bar and doing food prep, has that helped you relate to, I mean, you've basically done everything. Has that helped you be a better leader in terms of, dealing with every kind of employee that you guys have?
No, for sure. Because I know where they come from. I understand what that culture is like. And I tell them, on your Monday, Tuesday, when it's nothing going on, it can be frustrating, especially now during the times, even though we're, on our way out of it, to be conscious with your money, to understand that when it's there, put your best foot forward. And when it's not there, put your even better foot forward, because you're not going to have as many tables, but then you'll have the opportunity to give just amazing service. So I hope does that answer your question?
Yeah, definitely. And then, how does that help you in terms of menu development? You've talked about that's kind of one of the things that you do.
Menu development, it's great because I worked in a margarita bar. I worked in an Asian place. I've worked downtown bar in DC. Now I'm in Italian, and I love to eat. So my family and ethnicities there. So it's cool because, we go out now for, research and development, and we'll go to a Michelin star one and see what they're doing. Then we'll go to the dive bar down the street and see what they're doing. You get little things from, the strangest places in this industry. And you say, oh, why do you guys do that? Oh, we've been doing this for 20 years and the guests love it. You learn something, and we're in a Michelin star restaurant. It's like, oh, they gave us this cool little note thing, for your birthday. I was like, oh, that's cool. Let's try it and see if it works. My owner likes to say the greatest artists, they don't create, they steal, and they make it better. So I think we do a good job stealing and fitting it to what we do. So I've learned to go out and steal, and, I don't necessarily mean directly steal, but to steal ideas, to, take things and, look at them and see why people do them. And yeah, again, to just be that sponge and just, to learn.
Sure. One more question for you, but first, how can people find out more about both locations you have there in National Harbor?
Yeah, they can go to our websites, Fiorella Pizzaria .com, bond45nh.com. Those are our websites there. People can always reach out to me. Green at thefiremangroup.com. You can always shoot me an email if you got any questions or if you want to come by for dinner. But our websites say it all, as well as our Instagrams. Both handles are available through our websites. You can see what we're doing, what we're cooking up, and leave a follow, leave a like, tell a friend, and come down to the harbor, enjoy the wheel, the sunshine, and cold drinks and a lot of fun.
Sounds great. Last question. Out of the two, if you were to have your perfect meal between the two places, what would it be?
Okay, so that's a tough question because I'm a pizza guy. I love pizza, and brick oven pizza is probably one of my favorite things. So if you catch me on Friday, I'll probably eat pizza. You catch me on Saturday, I'll definitely go for the steak and potatoes. So if you're going to back me in a corner, it's probably going to be pizza. Who doesn't love pizza? I think everyone does.
Of course. Hey, thanks so much for joining me today, Alexander. It's been great talking to you. I appreciate your time.
Chad, thank you.
So long, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the Top Business Leaders Show, powered by Rise25. Visit rise25.com to check out more episodes of the show and to learn more about how you can start your own podcast.